Lake Lewis covers the Washington Redskins, and of course with USA Today Sports. Check him out online, and of course good follow on Twitter as well, at Lake Lewis, and kind enough to join us for a couple moments. And I'm sure there's panic going on in DC. What's going on, bud?
What's going on, man?
Come on, 2 games into this season. All right, let's get into this right now. You cover the Washington Redskins. You got the pulse of that team. What in the world are they saying inside that locker room about Kirk Cousins? And is it fair that he's getting the brunt of this criticism?
First and foremost, I'll go with the latter part of the question. It's not unfair because he's an NFL quarterback. And when everything goes well, you get all the credit. He got most of the credit last year as far as being able to take this offense to new heights, and he threw for over 4,100 yards. This year he's not playing well, and it's apparent that there's a lack of confidence, and his game is not confident at this point. So yeah, you're gonna get that. You know that, Q. I mean, everything goes great, quarterback gets the praise, but when it goes bad, he's gonna get the brunt of all the fans' anger, and that's what's happened. And I do think there are some players in the locker room. Not that I know for a fact, I haven't talked to some, that there's some frustrations in the locker room, and it's not so much directed solely at Kirk, but some of the guys don't care for some of the play calling. And, you know, it does appear that this guy threw 46 times against the Cowboys, 48 against Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh, they were getting blown out, so a lot of that was garbage, time at second half of the game. But against the Cowboys, you're up 3 inside the red zone with 5 minutes left in the game, and you throw 3 straight passes, the last one being an interception. So, not just the players, not just the fans, but even us in the media are questioning some of that play calling.
I'm just wondering, though, how did it go over? See, here's my issue with Jay Gruden. Jay Gruden, I get players are going to come out and say certain things and go to certain members of the media that have relationships with. I get it. I deal with it. We know that. We both deal with it. We've both been on that receiving end. But Jay Gruden kind of comes out pretty early and kind of throws the quarterback under the bus. Now, here's the one thing we do know. It's not like he's been under duress a lot under center throughout the first 2 games of the season. There were just some throws that he was flat out missing. Were the players a little taken back? Why you guys remember in the media kind of taken back that right away in 2 games, Gruden kind of fired a shot off at Cousins?
No, because that's Jay, and that's why I think and I have to forewarn some fans today on social media, fans that are saying you got to fire Gruden and bench Cousins. I mean, that's absurd. It's 2 games. You're not winning without those guys. Let's just call it like it is. You need them on the same page to win. I'm going to exclude Jay from the play calling, though, because it is apparent, and I asked him yesterday in his press conference with us, I flat out asked him, are you thinking about taking the play calling from Sean McVay, who's the offensive coordinator here? And Sean McVay is, youngest coordinator in the league. He's a wonderkin type kid. I mean, he's super smart, knows the game inside out, grew up in, a football family. But the issue is, I don't know how well his situational game calling is. It's one thing to be able to draw up a play, and it's another thing to know when to use it.
Right.
And I think that right now is becoming a little bit of an issue, and I think guys, not that I think, again, I know, not putting names out there, but some guys are looking at that, and they're seeing that. The Redskins aren't running the football. Excuse me, Rich, and it's not as if they can't run the football. Matt Jones had 61 yards last week on 11 carries. The week before, I think he had a 5-yard average on only, 5 carries? So you can't run the ball 15 times last week and then the week before run it 11 times and have your quarterback throw 94, total passes in 2 games and win a game, especially not in the NFC East.
Yeah, 46 times he threw against the Cowboys.
Absolutely, and 48 the week before against Pittsburgh. So you can't do that and expect to win games. And again, it goes back to the play calling. They understand what kind of toys they have on the outside. I mean, make no mistake about it, the Redskins may be one of the most talented teams, skill set wise. I'd rival them to any team in the NFL from 1 through 6, 1 through 7, and you add in Jordan Reed, a Pro Bowl type tight end. They're loaded. The problem is some guys see those toys and they don't understand you can still have those toys and use them, but you got to set people up. You got to get people softened, and then you go to a Deshaun Jackson down the field. You're not going to do that on first down. And they had a situation where they had Josh Doxson, who, really played his first game where they gave him meaningful minutes. 3 straight possessions in the red zone. They threw 3 straight fade patterns to him in the back of the end zone, and it wasn't working. But they kept doing it as if there's nothing else they can call. That's just bad play calling.
What about some of the throws that Cousins missed, though, not under duress? I mean, I think one was to Jackson.
No. I'll be the first to tell you, he hasn't played well, period. And there's no getting around.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. I agree with you 100%. It's 2 games into the season. And the last 8-9 games last year, you could argue he played the quarterback position at a pretty darn high level. I mean, he was right up there. See, I don't subscribe into he's worried about his contract. I don't like that statement because.
I don't either.
Okay, so then what is it? Is it mental? Is it between the ears? Is he got happy feet? Is he just missing the throws, or is he just not? There's no explanation. He's just playing bad football.
He's playing bad football, one. But I tell you what it is Kirk's one of those players that when things start going south, it just consumes him. And you've seen the meltdowns on national TV. He had a meltdown of epic proportion last week. He did. It was really bad, and you could see in his face afterwards. He was hurting. I mean, you could see it. He's not one of those guys, like when he plays well, it's all clicking. But when things start to go south, he hasn't proven yet at this point in his career. And you can't keep using the word potential. I mean, he threw for 4,100 yards
You can't.
last year.
No, not at all. And they won the division.
He's got to get over it. And when you're getting paid $20 million to be a franchise quarterback, even if it's just for 1 year, you can't make some of the throws that he was making last week. Those were beyond rookie mistakes. You guys have a rookie up that way that's not even doing that.
No, he's not. And the other rookie in Dallas is playing well. I want to get to 2 more quickies on the Skins. They play the Giants. The Giants kind of deliver an early knockout blow on Sunday. Josh Norman. Josh Norman not only having to answer a lot of questions regarding who he's covering on a weekly basis, but then all of a sudden they get the drug test right after the game. He's got the matchup now coming Sunday against the Giants and Odell Beckham. From a New York standpoint, I can tell you a lot of the players up there, they just don't even care about that anymore. From those that I talk to in the media up in New York, they can care less. It's a different it's a different regime right now with the Giants and their attitude going forward. What's going on with Norman? Again, it just seems as though 5 minutes into his Redskins tenure and he was already blowing up on the sidelines.
I got to tell you, being here every day, knowing Josh and being in the locker room, I can tell you a lot of that stuff's BS. It really is. He's an engaging guy. If you look at what he's doing on the field, he's lights out. He's the Redskins' best player on the football field right now, and I don't honestly see a close second, to be brutally honest with you. He's playing that well, and when he was on Antonio Brown national TV, everyone saw it. He caused a fumble that was overturned. But he pretty much held his own. And I think Antonio Brown didn't have any catches when he was on him. Last week against Des Bryant, it was the same scenario. He had 1 catch with Josh Norman covering him. He's just lights out. And I think that, he's just a galvanizing type player, polarizing figure that some people, and I can say this, some of my media, colleagues here, they're looking for comments from him.
Gotcha.
Okay,
that's fair.
It's a sad thing, but he's not talking this stuff up with the Giants. He was actually taken aback to hear what Victor Cruz had said.
Well, in fairness, he did talk a little bit during the offseason.
Sure, of off-season, yes,
yeah.
But the thing
carries
is
over.
That the stuff was brought up like a week into the season, something that he said 4 months ago. And, that's what we do in media. We understand when you strike and when you put stuff out to get some looks. But he hasn't been a distraction as far as I'm concerned. I mean, my thing is if you back it up on the field,
you can talk.
You can say what you want.
Yeah.
No, that's what he's doing.
You're right. Got about a minute to go before I let you get out of here. All right. First impressions 2 weeks in of Carson Wentz.
Man, you guys hit on something up there. He looks phenomenal. He really does, and he looks poised. And I go back to one of my good friends used to play here in D.C. with the Skins, and now is assistant defensive line coach in Philadelphia, Philip Daniels. We talked all through minicamp. You know, when I was in Richmond and he was up there, he would just we'd talk in the evenings, and he'd say, "Man, this kid looks really good." And I'm like, "Well, you know, he's a defensive player.
Sure.
He doesn't want to give any offensive guy credit." But I'm like, "How good does he look?" And he said, "To me, he looks like he's the best of the three." And a lot of the guys in the locker room feel that way. And on top of that, they're rallying towards him because he's got leadership qualities. So the Eagles look pretty good right now. I have to give them credit.
They're playing good football. Giants are playing much better football. And like I said, the Skins, you know, the funny thing, and just a quick little side note as we close it out, many, many years ago, the Giants were 0-2. They had to go down to take on the Redskins, and they had that goal line stand, and that kind of propelled them to that Super Bowl win, among other things. The Redskins, certainly with the back against the wall, and you know this, you know, wounded animal. They're the worst kind.
They don't win up in New York. They're since 2008 they've won one time, and that's in 2011. So the odds are against them. But if they get a win, then you start feeling good about yourself.
I agree.
We'll see.
All right, hey, keep up the great work covering the NFL and the Skins in USA Today. Always appreciate it, my friend.
I appreciate it, man. Take care.
You got it. Great stuff from Lake Lewis. Really good stuff.